All right, well, guys, let's get rolling. So today's topic is twofold. It's going to be on health and wellness, and um, kind of some basics of micro and macro management, as well as digging into some wealth building topics. So we'll finish things up with just how to prepare yourself for the Olean push as we get running into next week. Once you get a head start on that, so hopefully building momentum, right? Building momentum with the Olean push is what's going to be so critical from now till next Wednesday. You got 1 week until I guess the push kind of officially begins. So going into it with a running start is so important. So let's jump into the TLA stuff. So let's jump in to wealth and health. So I did have my call this morning with Trent Booth, and I was excited to get some time with him. He is actually going to be running a leadership development call. It's going to be broadcasted on Facebook. So if you guys friend request Trent Booth, I'll make sure to follow up. Make sure he does accept your friend on Facebook. He's going to be broadcasting live next Tuesday at 12 o'clock, going into some leadership topics. So some of the stuff that we've done in our leadership development day with our district team, and it's one of those things where it will be recorded, so you can always go back and look at it after the fact. But highly recommend getting some time with him. And we're going to be coming up with some stuff that for people that did get their emotional states to me. He's working on putting together a packet of info and doing some calls and stuff to get you guys built into his program and into his schedule. So I'm excited about that for you. Let's jump right in though with some health topics, and basically it's today's is going to be 4 steps to kind of better nutrition, and we're going to talk a little bit about kind of how to measure and keep track of the food that you're putting and the fuel that you're putting into your body. And I do want to remind you that it is important that you start to look at, if you really want to take ownership of your health and of your fitness, you really need to start looking at food as a fuel and not just something pleasurable, right? I'm guilty of that. Definitely, where I look at food as just like pleasure seeking, instrument, not something to fuel my energy levels. And I'll catch myself a lot of times just eating for the sake of eating, right? Because it's good, right? And we tell ourselves, Matthew Kelly talks about ourselves that your body isn't usually hungry when we're eating. We tell ourselves we're hungry, right? Your belly will a lot of times tell your mind, hey, buddy, you're full, and your body will be like, shut up, no, we're not. We're gonna keep eating, right? It's like you take this sweet stuff and you shove it, right? You're gonna take it and you're gonna eat it, and you enjoy it because I said so, So it's funny to do that. So it is important that you do change the types of foods that you're eating, but in an effort to really make sure that that's happening, you got to break it down. You got to break down, because really any food you can't eat is not necessarily bad for you if it's in moderation. And you need to learn the skill and the practice, really aware eating, meaning you're aware of what you're putting into your body, and knowing what your food is made of, and then using the nutritional information to eat better. The best and easiest way to do that is to start tracking those macronutrients as well as total calories of things that you're already eating. And so that's really, like I said, what the purpose was for this week, is to track what you're eating. So you have nothing to lose by doing this and everything to gain as you're trying to become aware of that. It's important that you have knowledge versus ignorance when it comes to food you're eating. So the first step, like I said, is to measure what you're eating, measuring what's going into your body. And so when you're learning to track information and track nutrition, the 3 tools that are best to help you in the kitchen, number 1 is going to be a food scale. I've got a food scale at the house. I keep it actually up above my my stove and my ovens, right? I just got them above there. It's just this little almost class-topped food scale. You can get them for dirt cheap on Amazon.com. You get them at Walmart or Target or any of those places. They cost you a couple bucks, but that couple buck investment will help you out. And it's really good at first, because if you don't know anything about macronutrients or measuring food or what's going into your body, it's good just to get a food scale and then to actually monitor it, right? Just actually sit there and to track what's going into your body, right? So food scale is big. A calorie counting book, right, or some sort of book that kind of gives you general macronutrient measurements, and then a set of measuring cups. If you've got your cell phone, the calculator on your cell phone can kind of help you with that as a resource. If your food comes with a label, that's great. If you're having a label on your food, it's good, because in that way you know exactly when you're doing your MyFitnessPal, you can just click on it, boom, it pulls right up. I will say that most produce that you buy, it's got some sort of label on it now, where you can just literally type it in, it pops up, you click on it, and doing that is good. If you do prefer whole foods that come without labels, which again, that's great. Most of the places you buy those foods at, like a Whole Foods or other places, it has the calculator right there when you buy it, and so you can just take a picture of it, upload it whenever you need to, or at least be able to type it all in, make sure it's accurate when you're entering it in. So measuring it's really cool. There's also countless online resources that are available for you to be able to look up the nutritional value if you can't find it. Two of them are nutritiondata.com. That's probably the easiest one, is nutritiondata.com. There's also the USDA's National Nutrition Database for standard reference. Nutritiondata.com is easier, but there is the other one there, right? And there are obviously mobile apps and stuff, and I guess MyFitnessPal is excellent for doing that. The other thing that I think is good is to think of your 20 to 30 favorite things to eat, and just look those up so you know. Because if you find the staple dishes that work in your diet, that's beneficial. Having those staple dishes that you have in your diet is key. Remember, a 6-ounce chicken breast got about 140 calories, 26 grams of protein, and 3 grams of fat. Then you can kind of eyeball it eventually once you have the food scale. Once you've measured out, again, find your 20 to 30 favorite foods, get them out, measure them on a food scale, type it in. That way, whenever you put these things together, Always nice to have variety in what you eat. I will say, if you're trying to lose weight, though, the more variety, the worse. Because if you start having too much variety until you've conditioned your body into eating the appropriate amount of foods, right? We've all had probably those moments where it's like, damn, this is good, I'm gonna go, right? You just keep eating, and eat until there's nothing left, right? I grew up in a household where it was considered almost disrespectful to not finish your food, right? It's like you clean your plate. And I think the Clean Plate Club has created a nation of obese kids, right? Because it's like, no, mom made it, you eat it, finish it because it's there. Or the other one is the family size portions of things that you make. When you make it for two, the family size, it gets done, right? I'm the type of person where if I make a family size offering of something, I'm going to eat it for the family. If it's me or one other person eating it with me, or a family, I'm going to make sure it's gone when I eat it. It's to make sure you measure stuff out. And then what happens, guys, is when you cook, measure it out, portion it out, right? So most recipes, it asks for 4 to 5 servings, what typically it comes with. So just chop it off, separate it, put half of it that you're not going to be eating. Let's say you're making it for you and one other person. Take the other 2 servings, put it into Tupperware, put it away. For yourself, make enough for yourself, and then you have the other servings, put that stuff away, so that way you're not tempted to eat it. That's cool. So having that is really good, is getting those things measured out. Second thing is recording it. You got to make sure you're recording it. Once you know what your meal is worth, typing it in, right? It's that whole idea of monitoring and recording what you're doing is so critical. This goes back to the measuring your emotional state by tracking it, right? What is your emotional state? By just having that alarm and putting it in, it's so important, right? So let's say, for example, have a fourth a cup of almond butter. That's gonna have about 384 calories in it, 35 grams of fat, 13 grams of protein, 11 grams of carbs, right? That would be, for me at least, that would be 1/4 cup of almond butter would be half of the amount of fat that I need for the day. For leaning out, right? That's a tremendous amount of my fat content going right there. So I probably should not be eating a lot of almond butter. I love almond butter. I love peanut butter, right? So for me, like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is the equivalent of 16 grams of fat. So today I had some peanut butter. I had 1 tablespoon. I'm like, I'm going to cut it off at 1, because if I keep going, I could eat a cup of peanut butter, without stopping. So you just gotta be careful with that. One large apple with skin that's 116 calories, 0 fat, 30 grams of carbs, right? So, putting those two together ends up coming up, with a full-blown meal for most of us, all right? Most of us, I guess I should say, right? But recording it down. People used to have to do this in a notebook. Nowadays, like I said, with MyFitnessPal, that's good. The third step is to break it down, okay? Breaking it down to knowing what you want. Understand that a gram of protein contains 4 calories, a gram of carbs contains 4 calories, and a gram of fat contains 9 calories. So if you're on a $2,000 diet or 2,000 calorie diet, $2,000 diet would be nice too. But if you're on a 2,000 calorie per day diet, well, then you need, if you're wanting to get 40, 40, and 20, which is what I recommend for people trying to build muscle, lose fat in men. 40, 40, and 20 would be about 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, and about, 50 or so grams of fat. Right? Because if you're getting 400 calories from fat, that's divided by 9, you're getting about 45 or so, is what you're looking for. Okay. So that's a 2,000 calorie diet. Now, I'm at 2,200 is what I'm at calorie wise that I'm needing. And when you go into MyFitnessPal, it's going to give you a caloric intake that you want, depending on what your goals are. When you typed in how much you weigh, how much you want to weigh, it should have spit out a calorie content. You can stick to the one they recommend, or you can do a modified version of it where you're at 40, 40, and 20. For females, you could do 30, 40, and 30, right? That's not a bad way for females, where 30 of it's coming from protein, 40 of it's coming from carbs, 30 of it's coming from fat. But just having something like that where you're tracking it. And then the fourth step after you've got the breaking it down, know where you need to get it. And again, what's cool is all of this happens in MyFitnessPal. The fourth one is to start meal planning. Okay. Okay. And guys, here's the thing. If you should not be hungry during this process. If you're hungry, if you feel like you're quote unquote starving yourself, that's where you start crashing. Okay, so this should be something where you're feeling full constantly. I'll just give you an example. Like last night, I got done with dinner. I came home and I started eating more shit because I needed to get my macros to where they needed to be. And initially, here's what's going to happen when you do that. Initially, your body will start, it's counterintuitive. It's really weird. You'll start gaining some weight for like a day or two. But then all of a sudden, if your macros are in line and you're fighting to meet your macros, what will start happening is your metabolism will start catching up. And that fuel will start feeding you in a way where your body will start burning it because it's going to turn more into muscle. And the next thing you know, you're going to drop. The first time I tried this, it was so counterintuitive because everything I'd ever done was on the whole diet strategy, which was, you know, you eat, you restrict your calories like crazy. And I did everything, man. I did everything from like fasting to, I did a lemonade cleanse one time. You know, I did, I've done it all, right? I did a cleanse before Vegas this summer. And that was good. It was it worked, it helped, but I know it also set my metabolic clock back. So I blimped right afterwards. So it was great for the Vegas portion, not so hot for the post-Vegas portion, you know? And whereas the thing that's great about this strategy is it's something where your body can sustain it long term. It's something where you feel good about what you're eating, and you track it. And the other thing is you start making better decisions and knowing that, hey, I got to type this in my phone. You know, you'll find yourself going away from what you want to do for what you know you need to do, because you know just that accountability of having to put it in there is a big deal. So recording it and then meal planning is critical. Another thing, guys, is finding healthy options at your favorite places to eat. Tip that I'll give you, and again, that nutritiondata.com can do that. MyFitnessPal can do that. If you just type in, for example, let's say your favorite place to eat is Taco Mac, right? You just type in Taco Mac into MyFitnessPal, boom, it pops up. Love going to, down in Buckhead or someplace like that. If you just type that in, boom, it pops up. Taco Bell, right? You know, I know Angel loves Sonic. Really not much you're going to find in Sonic that's going to be healthy, but if you type it in, you can see the options and it makes it healthier for you. Another great resource is menshealth.com or womenshealth.com. If you type in eat this, not that, Google, you can type in whatever restaurant you want and it'll spit out healthy options for you. Guys, what I recommend, Tex-Mex is a great way to eat healthy with good nutritional macro breakdowns. Meaning if you want to get into that 40-40-20, 30-40-30 breakdown, Tex-Mex is an easy thing to do. In fajitas, steak fajitas, I've got a great nutritional breakdown. Chipotle is awesome. Go to their website. You can type in exactly what you want to add into your burrito bowl or to your burrito, and it'll tell you nutritional breakdown of everything. Do this now, by the way. If you go to their website, you can follow it up. I mean, if you're going to like a local Mega Taco or something like that, probably does not have a website nutritional calculator, but you can get a basic breakdown of there. In general, grilled is always better than fried. It's over rice, right? These things help you with your strategy. And then stay away from sauces. I know they're awesome, but they're the killers, macronutrients. Okay, because sauces, what those do is they're almost always heavy in fat and sugars, right? Refined sugars. So you're talking your corn syrups, next time you get a chance, if you go through the drive-through, pull out, just take those little sauces, just read the ingredients. If you don't know how to pronounce them, they're probably not good for you. Probably additives. I did that just the other day. I said, you know what? I think I was at Waffle House, and there was a cup of butter that came out. Pretty simple. It's fat, right? I mean, that should be all it is. Animal fat, right? That should just be what it says. But it was their buttery spread. It had like 20 ingredients. Okay? If you're going to eat fat, right? It's just one of those things. If you need it, you need it. So just try to stay away from the sauces and the salad dressings and things like that, because what ends up happening is that if you've got the stuff that you're plugging in, if you got things that you're liking, just simply holding like the mayonnaise or holding the sugary sauces, that Big Mac sauce can completely change the nutritional value of what you're putting in your body. If you're getting wings, get them roasted or baked instead of fried. Cuts the fat by half, more than half. Cuts the calories in half too when you cut the fat in half. So those are simple things. Lots of vegetables for sides. Pick veggies instead of fries. Pick broccoli instead of hash browns. When you go to if you're doing breakfast foods, using grits and no butter versus doing hash browns, tremendously much healthier. If you really want to be healthy, just do the sliced tomatoes. A lot of places will do sliced tomatoes for you instead of doing hash browns and grits, or they'll do fruit cups instead of hash browns, right? So those things are always are healthier options to choose than what they're recommending that you get. Right? Do the sandwich only instead of the meal. That can cut the calories on you. Why? Because if you do the sandwich only and water, well, not only are you reducing your financial outlay, but you're also reducing the nutritional content of what you're doing. Healthy breakfast options, like I said, are oatmeals, egg white sandwiches. Those are typically pretty healthy, and then fruit, like I said, is not bad so long as you're in moderation with the fruit. Okay. So those are just a couple things for just general terms. Italian food is just usually not real good for your nutritional macro calendar, right? It's typically all bread, cheese, and butter. So not really good for nutritional value. Barbecue is actually pretty good if you go with the grilled chicken options, right? Because you can usually get healthy vegetables and grilled chicken. Barbecue works well for that. I already mentioned Tex-Mex. I already mentioned Americana because you can go grilled chicken. That staying away from too much with sub sandwiches, right? Do lettuce wraps if you can, and load up with the veggies. Or if you do the bread, take the top of the sub and throw it out. Your carb, your fill of the bread, but then you're not going crazy with the amount of carbs that you're consuming. And just start tracking, guys. So what's cool is you can eat as much as you want so long as it fits within. The last tip I'll give you on the nutritional part is take whatever you're eating, and if you go above, don't beat yourself up about it, right? Meaning it's not the end of the world. Just the next day, take it away. Meaning if you go crazy one night, let's say that, for example, after your team meeting, you guys go out and grab a big bite to eat and you go overboard, well, just make sure you take it out of the next day. So long as it averages out over a day or two, you're fine. I think, that was one of the things that I learned when I was going through nutritional coaching is under old diets, once I had gone overboard, I felt like, I just screwed it completely up. It's over. It's done. I'm not meant to diet, blah, 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 right? And the next thing I know, I'm right back to my normal habits. With this plan, what I started doing is if I went over, like let's say I went over by 200 or 300 calories, well, the next day I would just operate at a deficit. I would cut out something that next day to make sure that I didn't go overboard. And what's crazy is when I started doing that again, it all averaged out. I felt okay. I used to go crazy on Saturdays. I was just like, what, Saturday's my day to just go way overboard. And so then when I would do Sundays, I would do an intermittent fast where I would go like 12 hours from the last time I ate on Saturday till the time I ate on Sunday, or 15 hours, 16 hours in some cases, depending on how overboard I was. And that sounds like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy, but really it's not that bad. You go 16 hours, basically what you're doing is, let's say your last meal is at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, right? You go out, you just go crazy, something like that. Well, all you do is just, you don't eat again until like 4 o'clock the next day. All of a sudden it's like, oh, it's not that hard to do. That sounds crazy, right? Like 16 hours sounds like so long to eat, but when you're sleeping and you get up, you drink a lot of water, you just go for a walk, it's really not that bad. Okay? Track of what you're actually eating is big. Not beating yourself up. Getting to that macronutrient number, fighting to do that. At first, it's hard, but once you start doing it, your body becomes a furnace, and you start burning, and all of a sudden you start dropping. Okay? The types of food matter way more than actually the two things that matter most: number of protein and total calories. Just focus on those. Don't worry about the other stuff right now, and then just track everything that you're eating. And then what'll happen is you start to be able to stabilize a little bit, and it's crazy what will happen to your metabolic furnace inside you when you do that. From a fitness standpoint, guys, making sure that you're just getting out and doing something, working out wise. Okay, if and then tracking the number of days is really important. When you track the number of days, that helps you with just being stabilized, right? And it also turns that fat into muscle for you. I'm not so much worried about the amount of pounds you're losing as the type of pounds you're consisted of. Okay, more muscle, less fat. Overall, you'll start dropping inches in your waist and other places. So getting out and working out and then tracking that too. You can track it in MyFitnessPal if you really want to. You don't have to though. Just keeping it somewhere, right? Getting on a steady routine. Getting out and doing something every day is another thing that I've been told too. Just get out there and do something. If you go walk for a while, that helps. If you go for a run, that helps. I will tell you the mile challenge that I've done with Sam Knapp has been beneficial. I've been running at least a mile every single day since we started that. Because one of the things that I would do, or at least I got in the habit of recently, was I would go to the gym and lift, but I wouldn't run with it. I'd lift weights, not run, just because I hate running. What's that? So no cardio, which actually for most people is, if you're doing the right type of lifting, it works. If you're doing heavy circuits, you don't need cardio because you're doing enough cardio with the circuit training. Your heart rate's up. That's really what that's doing. If you're lifting heavy with your legs, doing full-blown squats, you can burn way more calories doing squats than you would running 2 miles or 3 miles because you're activating all the muscles in your legs, also your core stabilizers and everything, where it burns more fat actually than running does. But it still is not enough for somebody my age, just because at this point metabolism is not what it used to be. You hit a plateau at 25, you hit another one at 30. I'm imagining I'll probably hit another one at 35 or 40. Where it starts to slower. You really have to work hard to keep the same metabolism. So at least naturally, I'm sure there's illegal ways you can do it, but yeah. So that's what I would recommend. Just tracking it, getting back in the habit of doing something each day, and then getting 3 good sessions a week for those of you that are lifting weights. Okay. For good exercises today, what we'll talk about is upper body. Okay, so here's great upper body work exercises to do to help you with again, turning fat into muscle and creating an overall healthy being. So the first one are the big the big ones for chest, right, are going to be dumbbell flies, right, incline bench. Okay, and again, guys, dumbbell flies are pretty simple. You lay on a flat bench and you take dumbbells, right, and all you do is lay flat and you just literally just do this. That's all you do. The bench press, guys, is great. I love the bench press, getting there with the big bar and pushing a lot of heavy weight. But the reality is, it's not going to do as much for you as incline and flies will, as far as activating more muscle groups. Incline is good because most of the stuff that you're doing is, when you think about the day-to-day, you're lifting things over your head. That's when you're starting to activate that chest. You're pushing yourself off the ground, sure, but there's not a lot of pushing straight out that you're doing. But you are grabbing things, you are carrying stuff, you are lifting things, putting things up. So that functional strength is really really important. So the three big ones for chest that I'm going to tell you that you want to start doing. Incline dumbbell, which is where you get on kind of an elevated bench and you just push straight above your head, right? And then push-ups. There's so many other chest things I could show you, but push-ups. One thing that Sean Walker did that I think is kind of a cool thing is he did the 30-day challenge or the 21-day challenge, where you start with however many push-ups you can do, and you try to do one more each day, right? Yeah, it's great, right? So you start with whatever your baseline is. Maybe your baseline is 1. You can do 1 from your knees, right? That's fine. Yeah, do it from your knees. Then go 2, then 3, then 4. Then maybe eventually you build it in where you can do a full one from like your toes and hands, right? But you just kind of build on that and do that for 21 days. And if you don't want to do, if you're breaking it up into upper body, lower body, and circuit training, well, then just each time you do it, try to do 1 more than you did the last time. Okay? Those are 3 great ones for, for chest. Right? I can give you, if you're really into lifting, reach out to me one-on-one. I can give you a full-blown chest breakdown of what to do for that. But those are the main 3. For back exercises, number 1 are pull-ups. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, as they're just starting to get into lifting, they can't do a full-blown pull-up without any assistance. That's okay. There's very in-shape people that can't do pull-ups. Okay? So do them assisted. The little machine that you get on, right? That you put your knees on it. Just do them assisted. And it's funny because sometimes when you start, you're basically doing like 10 pounds and the machine's doing the rest of the work for you. But that's okay. You're building strength. So that's a great one. Another great one for your back are deadlifts. Probably the best for full-blown back strength. Now, do not attempt to do deadlifts until you have somebody show you the proper form. And until you have proper form, I would recommend you do them with a trap bar instead of doing them with a straight bar, because it forces you to have proper form. In the meanwhile, like I said, if you're not there at the deadlift level, the other 2 exercises that I would say to do, you've already got the lat pull down, which is basically what your pull-ups are. Okay, you want to do a row. Okay, and the rowing machine is great for that. So rows are good, and then back extension or lower back extensions, which is where you basically put your thighs elevated on the little lower back support system, right? And then you just lift yourself up. Okay, that's it. It's like a reverse crunch, basically. That activates your lower back. Doing lat pull downs. Okay, if you could do deadlifts, great. If not, rows. Okay, those would be 3 for that. For arms and shoulders, right? Easiest ones are going to be your rope tricep pull downs, regular just curls, right? And then overhead press for shoulders, right? Yep, just overhead press. Arnold's are really the best shoulder exercise that I've done, which is where you basically take it like this, and then you extend up and touch them, and then down, because that activates the different heads of your shoulders. Again, that's one of those ones where do it with low weights until you get the form right, and then and it doesn't take much with that at first to get a little burn, but it definitely helps. Okay, those would be 3 again, just basic things that I'd recommend doing for arms. Okay? For legs, squats are the best. If you can't do it with any weights, just doing it with a bar only will get you going. If you do enough of them, you'll feel a burn. Focus again on form, not weight, the amount of weight. I'd rather you do, 145 or 135 guys than 135 where you're actually doing proper form, where you're getting it fully, parallel, thighs parallel to the ground or lower, and doing proper extension versus putting weight on and then going down a little bit. There's a guy in my gym that he puts all this weight on there. It's like 315 pounds, but he goes down like 2 inches. He's like, ugh. It's like, really? You're not even doing anything, right? All you're doing is just creating tension in your hips for later in life. You're not doing full exercises, okay? So squats are great. Leg press is good. Leg extensions and leg directions. Basically, you're getting your hammies and your quads. So when you sit there, in the machine where you just go straight out, and then pull straight in. So leg curls, leg extensions, squats, and leg press. Another good one is box jumps. Box jumps, just jump on a box.
Oh,
What?
I hit my shin before and I was scared to do it.
Yeah.
I did it too hard.
Yeah, they're fun though. They're good for you. Other thing that's good for legs in general for leg day is just doing sprints, where you're running. You know, you set the treadmill up, whatever a run for you would be. You sprint for a minute, 30 seconds if you need to start there. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So literally you sprint for 30 seconds, then you jump off, put your feet on the side, jump back on for 30 seconds, jump off, the other side. What's up? Lunges are great. Lunges are great. I mean, those kind of activate the same things that the other stuff are. Lunges are hard, I think, for people if they're not used to working out, though. Yeah. All right. Now for let's talk about some fitness. We're going to talk a little bit more about fitness stuff later on. Starting next week, we're going to talk about sets, combinations, things like that. We're also going to talk about meal breakdowns next week. For for the financial side today, what I want to talk about are the for GM Financial Fitness. Talk about the 3 areas that really matter long term for you. Right? The first one is on maximizing revenue. The second one is on minimizing expenses. So 3 keys to building wealth. All right? 3 keys to building wealth are going to be on maximizing your revenue, managing your expenses, and simply investing. So investing simply. Everybody goes through 4 different stages in their life of wealth. Okay, for those who become uber wealthy, the 4 stages are as follows: survival, stability, success, and significance. Okay, survival is where you're literally just trying to eat. This is it. Now you don't know where your next meal is going to come from, and that's it. No, that's all right. I mean, that's normal. That's standard. That's most people. In fact, I would say that for people that really become self-made, they have to go through that stage, because if they never know what that stage is like, then they never really truly appreciate how to get past it. Okay, so survival is the first stage. Stability is where basically all your bills are being met. You're not going into debt, but you're not really doing much more than just maintaining, right? You're just kind of, you're paying your bills, right? The third one is success. Success is where, you're now starting to take care of the big picture things that matter, right? So you're paying your bills, but you're also building towards home ownership. You're building towards, retirement plan. You're getting kids college tuition money kind of start setting aside. You're starting to build a little bit. Now, honestly, the kids' college tuition thing, I'm going to hold off on. That really I wouldn't even define necessarily as successful. That kind of goes into the next one, which is significance. But basically, you're covering your bills and you're saving is success, right? You're building your retirement. So basically, you're protecting yourself long term. You've got your 6-month emergency fund built. You've got, for us in our business, right, you've got your startup account building so you can progress to the next step, right? And then significance becomes now you've got money to do things with, where it's charitable giving. It's used for kids' college fund. That's where you start to get into that significance. You're starting to buy into things that replace even your income. See, independently wealthy, or I guess financially, set is where your income passively makes you more money than you're earning. Okay, that's how you start to get into that significance, right? So your investments start making you more than what your day job is making you. They call it living on interest, right? You're just chilling. You're making you're making more money than you can spend is what we're talking about. That kind of happens during significance. So now you're looking for places to really what you're doing there is just protecting your legacy, making sure you're not getting burned anywhere and stuff like that. So so think about maximizing your revenue. For us, it's constantly generating business for yourself. It's making sure you're selling consistently. By selling consistently, you're building your startup. You're getting you're selling. It's all good. With managing expenses goes with spending things on things that matter, but not spending things on things that don't matter. As a representative, things that matter. Well, making sure that you get your cell phone paid, right? You need your cell phone to do a business, right? Making sure that you've got, gas money, right? It's being frugal personally on things that don't necessarily matter as much with, with long-term success, right? So not going out and buying new clothes all the time. Okay, not going out and eating out. So avoiding eating fast food. Rewarding yourself with signature experiences more so than just blowing it, right? Signature experiences and signature gifts, things that are memorable, are things that you can build towards. See, one of the things I found that helps me is when I set up a signature experience, I work harder on the day-to-day on driving revenue, right? It's like for me, putting out that Thailand trip was a signature experience for me when I decided to do that last year. And so by buying that plane ticket, it was a big investment on my part, but by doing that, I worked harder because I knew that was coming up. And you're going to see when we get, even after Olean, right? We get back, I'm going to be grinding to make sure that I set up properly the business for that. When I think about investing simply, there's really 3 stages of that. It's investing back into yourself so you can learn and grow. So it'd be like self-help books, personal growth, sessions, things like that. Taking advantage of corporate programs that are already in place. A program that waives fees and investing, things like that. And then having low cost, low maintenance investing. And we'll dig into more of that stuff as we go more further into this financial stuff. The best thing to manage your expenses, though, is to make sure you got your monthly budget. And hopefully you guys have all filled out your monthly budget. But if you haven't done that, make sure you do it. Also, guys, email it to me. If I see something that seems out of whack, I can help you with that. All of you guys have got different budgets, but just doing it, just filling it out, sending it. That's critical. And I can help you with that if I see things that are kind of all over the place. Okay? So being frugal on rent, very inexpensive things. Meal prepping is another way to save a lot of money versus eating out. Being a bargain shopper. Also, guys, getting in shape helps. These things feed off each other. The healthier you are, the better you take care of yourself financially too. For those of you that tend to get big like me, being in shape helps because you don't have to go out and buy new wardrobe, right? It's not good if you can't button your button, right? That's key. So, bargain shopper, getting in shape, eliminate vices, minimizing cable and internet, and then rewarding yourself, like I said, with signature experience or things that can really help you. But get that budget in place. Start tracking where you're spending your money, and just the Hawthorne effect will take place where you start actually looking at what you're spending money on and how you're spending your money versus just simply spending it, frivolously. So, let's talk a little bit about the maximizing revenue for a second. We talked about the Olean Push. Well, Olean Push, guys, starts next Thursday. Okay, it starts a week from tomorrow. All of you guys have got goals. If you did not get that Olean Push plan, make sure you fill that out for your manager so they have that. But the biggest part about setting it up properly is making sure you've got your attack list ready. Today, we're a week away. You need to know what you got on your attack list. How many names and numbers do you have currently that you can call? That's important. If you don't have at least 100, we got to make sure we're getting that number up. I would say if you're going for a 10K plus push, for Olean, you need 200. For some of you, you may not be going for a 10K plus push, but you've got a crazy other schedule outside of the business. Well, if you got a crazy schedule outside of the business, you may still need 200 names and numbers so that way you can make sure you get all of your open slots filled the way you want them instead of having to rely on just when people can see you. That may be where this becomes more important then, right? You may need 200 numbers if you're going for 5K, but you're also in school. Okay? So getting 200 names and numbers is critical. If you don't have 200 names and numbers, making sure that you do a thought jogger list, you do an attack list, you go back through and say, okay, who are the new people that I've added on Facebook that I actually know, right? Who are the people that I've come into contact with in my church that I didn't remember from earlier? To my attack list. Have I sat down lately with mom and dad to come up with a new list of people? Have I sat down with significant others, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whoever matters to you, right? Have you sat down and actually brainstormed with them? Have you gone back through and said, okay, have you taken back out your white book from training and actually gone and looked, hey, do I have all of these numbers? Sometimes just simple as that is just going back. I remember Alexandra Van Dyke had been a district manager, a branch manager twice. She had been an assistant manager in the pilot. And then yet after all of that, she still sat down and came up with another 50 names and numbers of people that she actually knew from high school that she never saw. She had graduated from college already. And she said, man, there's people I didn't see from high school that I knew. And so she went back and did that. And Alexandra ended up having a $10,000 push just by doing that, by going back and going back to the well, going back and it was funny because she just went back to her initial white book that she had written down that she hadn't called yet. And all of a sudden it gave her people that she could go to. Her mom would say, Mom, do you have this number? Do you have this number? Do you have this number? If there's people in your initial list that you haven't seen yet, see them. Maybe it's your little sister's boyfriend's parents that you haven't seen. Maybe it's their new boyfriend's parents you haven't seen. Okay, go back and see them. Maybe it's older brothers, I don't know, boss you haven't seen. Maybe it's boyfriend's boss you haven't seen. But just going back and just coming up with a new attack list, because guys, those could be some of your best appointments, because then these are acquaintances. People you know of, that you don't know super well, but you do know of. And so going back and creating that new list, getting to 100 to 200 names and numbers is going to be really important. And guys, if you're in TLA, what I want you to do is I want you to text me or text your district manager right now and just let them know, hey, how many names and numbers do you currently have that you can call? If you don't know the answer, right when we get done with this, come up with that list, count them all up, send them to your district manager. If you don't have a district manager in the country, like I know James out of the country, send it to me so that way I've got that information so I can help you. Because there's not anything more important between now and Sunday than getting your attack list built. Because starting on Sunday, guys, you really want to start booking up for Thursday and beyond. Because if you wait until Wednesday to get your schedule set for Thursday and Friday, you're going to leave open time slots that you just haven't booked up yet. So we want to start working on that this Sunday. Use momentum from now till Sunday. Be doing demos, building your attack list because you're getting recommendations. So it's tempting, I know, to say, oh, I'm going to save this customer for the push because I know they're going to be a good customer. Well, the problem with doing that is sometimes you save them for the push, you go call them, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, I can't see you. Can't see you until after Thanksgiving. You're like, crap, that would have been a great person, but now I can't see him. So I would rather you see him tomorrow, get 10 to 15 recommendations from them, and then use those during the push. And now you're building with people that are fresh. You got people that you haven't talked to yet that you can do demos with. So those are big critical to, that's going to be really important to maximizing your revenue, because one of the things that does help you to build income is playing when it matters. It's getting in when other people are already excited. That circle of influence that we talked about at the TLA prep is so important for this, right? Give yourself extra incentive. We're going to be starting those morning conference calls for Olean Push. next Thursday. We'll have a conference call to launch the push on Wednesday, but Thursday morning, 7:45, we're going to be starting doing those early morning conference calls where you go over different topics and stuff, but none of that stuff matters. None of the phone 10 matters if you don't have your names list built. So get your attack list ready. Be ready to kick butt with that. Hopefully, guys, you got some good information on tonight's TLA. But let's put it to use over the next week. We'll have a video that'll come out to you for next Wednesday. I'll be in a DVM meeting in Dallas at Wednesday, but I'll get you guys a video so that way you have it to be able to watch that talks about wealth, health, and the Oleum push. So you guys have a great night. See ya.